I mentioned that we are being trained today by Dr. Sunday Okafor. You must have seen me write posts about the training. You must have seen me write some information about him. And the greatest part of it is this somebody I've known for a very long time, since around 2006 actually. I know his passion. I know his interest in human capital development. And I know his passion for young people. I know how much time he dedicates to training, to mentoring, to developing, and to helping young people find their feet. So beyond just learning from him today how to write, pay attention to every word he's going to speak, because along the line of the training, you might be getting some messages that will inspire you, motivate you, reignite your passion, renew your commitment to pursuing greatness in life. And he is an all-rounded person, a very good man, committed to the service of God and committed to helping humans develop. So pay attention to everything that will be happening today. He has gone from a complete trajectory of human capital development, from teaching in the secondary school where I met him at first, and then moving on to becoming a full researcher and academic in the university where he teaches and lectures at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me and welcome Dr. Sunday Okafor as he takes up the mic now to run today's training. Thanks so much, Uncle, for coming.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, Engineer Austin, for the good job you're doing. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants from various places on the globe. Welcome as we sit together to learn. You will permit me to be switching over. I have two major slides, two different documents, so I'll be switching in between the two as we go on to navigate through this particular journey. Once again, I welcome you. Yes, told you my name, Dr. Sunday Okafor, a lecturer with the Department of Pharmaceutical and Medicinal Chemistry, University of Nigeria. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen now. Hello. So I don't know whether we can see the screen.
Yeah, it's loading. Yeah,
okay.
It's up now.
Okay, thank you so much.
But it's not on slide mode, I think.
It's not on slide mode. It's not moving as I press arrows.
No. It's just showing as if you open the PowerPoint document. I think you can reshare. Then when it asks for, there's a place where it will ask to share window or share entire screen. Usually, I think the entire screen is what works better with Google Meet.
Yeah, I think so, because that's what I've been using. But today I decided to select the particular one we're doing. So let me select the entire window, entire screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it showing?
Yes, perfect.
Is it moving?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So I can see abstract is back to manuscript writing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine. We are fine.
Yes.
All right. So I was asked to talk on manuscript writing, and that is what we'll be doing. Even though it's a very long journey that we may not be able to exhaustively deal with within the time interval we have. But let me try to see if I could drop some hints that you need to develop and work on it to be able to write your own manuscript. Or if you have been writing, to improve upon what you've been doing. First and foremost, let's begin to look at the components of manuscript you know, when you want to write manuscript, this is like the framework, different sections that you need to pay attention to. And so we have the title, the heading, we have the abstract, we have the introduction, we have the materials and methods, we have the results session, discussion, conclusion, and references. I will still pick them one at a time, but it is important for us to take note of these six major, eight major sections in any scientific manuscript you want to develop. There will be the title, there will be the abstract, introduction, the materials and methods employed in the research, the results, discussion, conclusion, and reference. Meanwhile, in some manuscripts, depending on the journal, you may be required to supply other optional components, such as acknowledgement, author's contributions, funding, if any. Even if there is no funding, maybe you make a statement, you know, showing that there was no funding for the research you carried out. Then you may also need to declare conflict of interest. You supply some supporting information or document. And then you may be required also to devote a page or so trying to define any abbreviation used in the main work. So let me, having shown this, let me switch over to another slide. I think I'll continue with. Oh, I didn't need to shut down really. Let me do that again. Okay. Is anything up there?
Yes. Manuscript writing, there's a yellow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. So I just wanted to use that first document to do preamble or introduction to what we are doing. Okay, so let's get going. Like I explained, let me start from this point again. These are very essential components of scientific manuscript. The title of the work, authors and affiliation, abstract, introduction, experimental, results, discussion, conclusion, acknowledgement, references. So let's take it one at a time. Meanwhile, this is a very important guide as we step out to develop a manuscript. If you already know the journal you want to publish your article, prepare the manuscript according to the author's guideline. Usually, every journal, every scientific journal has guideline for authors. There is a format they want you to present your manuscript. And this format differs from one journal to the other. And usually, maybe for those who have been writing, and you are sure that probably you're going to publish with Frontiers in chemistry, then all you need to do in order to save time and energy and even resources, you go straight to the journal website. It's not hidden. Once you get to the homepage of the journal's website, then you'll be able to see submit an article, see author's guideline, and then download it. Most times it's prepared as a PDF file. Download it and go through the author's guideline, and then begin your journey of preparing your manuscript in accordance with the recommendations given by that particular journal. It is important to do that because some journals, some articles are rejected immediately after submission simply by a general review by the editor who looks at the appropriateness of the journal, and who also looks at the submitted manuscript to see whether it conforms to the guideline that the journal has prescribed. You know, and once it does not conform, it is one of the reasons why the editor will probably, say this: if you are not able to prepare your manuscript according to our guidelines, then it means that probably you are writing out of scope. So it is like the first impression you want to make. Remember that there are stages in this publication. Once you submit, the editor or editors or team of editors will have a quick review of what you've submitted, checking basically whether it is within the scope of the journal, and again, having a quick check whether the manuscript submitted conforms to the guideline prescribed by the journal. So it is important to note this. However, if you're not sure of the journal you're going to present, send your manuscript, you can do a general preparation. And once you are certain about the journal, then you come back again to the manuscript and begin to modify the manuscript to suit the, the journal's prescription in terms of the format they want, starting from the title down to the reference. So it is important to know this. The first thing that we see in manuscript writing is the title of the work. The title. Please, the title of the work is somewhat a selling point of the journal article. The title should be clearly written, unambiguous, very concise, and if possible, catchy. This, helps even the readers, the editors, the reviewers, everyone involved to get interested. Most times, or in some instances, depending on the guideline, the journal might give specification of word count, that you don't need to exceed a particular word count when you are putting up your title. So this stresses the point that you need to be very concise about the title of the manuscript, the work you've done. For instance, in this journal published in Journal of Enzyme Inhibition and Medicinal Chemistry, the topic, the title is Novel Anti-Inflammatory and Analgesic Agents, Synthesis, Molecular Docking, and In Vivo Studies. So the title should be able to sell, sell the idea, sell the main work. Be able to pass a message across concerning the main work that you've done. So it's important. And here again, it is not a big deal. So the manuscript writing has started. Usually what you do, because you may not just have, in writing, there is this flow that you get at some point in time. And this flow is not a continuous one. At some point, it ceases. At some point, you are connected and you can flow while writing. So you do not necessarily have to get yourself in a situation where you said, today being Tuesday, I must finish this manuscript. It doesn't work that way. Once an inspiration flows, you go and put something down. And that is also why it is important while you are developing the manuscript, you can create these different sections: title, author's name, abstract, introduction, and so on, and leave them vacant. Once an inspiration drops, you you go to a particular session that you have gotten that inspiration and put that particular stuff down. And that is how you keep developing the manuscript. When the inspiration stops flowing, you go and rest, do research, and come back to it again. So the title could be deposited fixed in the manuscript, and you continue to develop it. It's part of developing the manuscript. Then the second component is authors and affiliation. Immediately after the title of the work, the article you are trying to write the manuscript on, then you need to write down the names of all the contributing authors. All. Again, the journal will specify the format for this presentation. In some journals, they will require that you write the author's last name followed by author's initials. Some may want you to write author's initials first, followed by the last name. Some may want you to write the full names of all the authors. Some may wish that you write, in any form they want to. So it is important to take note of how the journal would like you to put down the names of the authors. We may not have time, and also it's not before us, to discuss authorship. Who and who should be part of a publication? Is it just for somebody, you're not aware of what has happened? The manuscript, the work has been done, the manuscript has been written, in fact, about to be sent to a journal, and your friend just told you that I have a work I'm trying to say, I put my name there. So that does not really, in the scientific world, contribute or make you to be a co-author. So even though it's not before us, but I would like to say categorically that for you to be a co-author to a particular journal article, you should have contributed significantly to the work, right from the conceptualization of the research idea to the experimental, to collection of data, analysis of data, writing of manuscripts, reviewing what has been written, and so on. After the author's names, you now need to write or show their affiliations. Affiliation has to do with author's address, institutional address. And usually, if you have many authors, you could use subscript like superscript like 1 or A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3 to denote, the particular institution or affiliation of a particular author. Here I have shown two examples. In the first one, we saw that the journal required that authors' names be written in full. Even though here something was we missed out something, but you can see David Izuchukwu Ugu A, B, meaning that this first author has two affiliations. You are free to have more than one affiliation. You could have a base institution where you work, and probably you travel for a postdoctoral fellowship or research program in another institution. And as at the time that work was done, it was done there, so you could comfortably put your two affiliations or more, as the case may be. Then, after all of this, the superscript is defined, the person's institution. Like here now, you have Department of Pure and Industrial Chemistry, University of Nigeria and Nsukka, B, Department of Chemistry, Indian Institute of Technology. So this particular author was affiliated to two different institutions, and they were properly documented. Then for the second author's name and affiliation, you could see how the journal wanted it to be arranged. So this is about authors and affiliation. And I can tell you, the journey to writing a manuscript starts with writing the title of the work, writing down authors and affiliation, you've started. And the journey of 1,000 kilometers starts with a step. So don't wait until all the whole ideas, start flowing before you sit down and then begin to put few things down. Away from there, we look at abstract. An abstract is simply the summary of the research work. Key components of an abstract include the background, which should include the objective of the study, the method, the result, and conclusion. I'll need to spend a little more time here, but I want you to note that abstract is the last thing that you write. You would have written everything about the journal because you cannot summarize what you have not done. You cannot summarize a write-up that you have not written. Let me put it that way. So the abstract has to do with the summary of everything that you have written down concerning the work. And so you now can agree with me that it is reserved as the last thing, the very last thing to do, so that you'll be able to have a general overview of the work, what you've done, and what you've reported, and you'll be able to now fix it up as the last part of the manuscript writing. It will be very tedious for you to start from the beginning to start writing the manuscript. I mean, the abstract, because it's not going to really be very smooth for you. So reserve it as the last part to write, even if it comes, as part of the first things you see in the manuscript. Also, it is important for us to take note of these key components of an abstract. It must have a background. How do I mean? A very straightforward introduction to the study, something that attracts attention, something that gives the reader or the readers the impression that this work has been well prepared. And this background should include the objective of the study. For instance, you want to write a manuscript or develop a manuscript on COVID-19 vaccine, something like that, then it may be very helpful to write a background, very short one, maybe a sentence or two, which could be like a statistics, giving a statistic of COVID-19, or giving a statistic or a background of the effectiveness of vaccine and something like that. And then shortly before you end the background, you should be able to state clearly the objective of the study. After which you go to method. And in this method, you simply need to summarize the methods you've used, not the detailed methods. For instance, in natural product chemistry, for instance, somebody may want to do phytochemistry, where you want to ascertain whether a given plant material has some metabolites, maybe whether it has tannins, saponins, alkaloids, flavonoids, phenols, and so on. And each of these has their own way of testing for them. So it is not for you under abstract to begin to say uh, phytochemical analysis of phenol by dissolving 1 gram of the extract in this solvent. No, 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 no. You summarize the whole process. You could simply say phytochemical analysis was carried out using standard methods. That has shown, one, that you did phytochemistry, and the method you used was a standard method. That covers it. So it will be out of place and very cumbersome for you to begin to write down all the methods employed in the work. Meanwhile, you should note that in the author's guide for some journal articles, they have specific word count for the abstract. So the abstract is not a place to write long essays. Some will peg it at 250. Some will peg it at 300 maximum. Some will peg it at 200. I think I've seen some that may peg it at 150. So you'll be able to know that you need to summarize. That's actually the meaning, summary of the work. And then from there, you go to results, where you need to clearly show the results, especially the key findings. Maybe when we go, uh, as we go on, we'll be able to talk about some of these things. But of course, the key results or the key findings are what you need to show. There should be, somebody trying to draw a table, somebody trying to show a figure, somebody trying to, all of those things are not necessary. You're also not under any pressure to show all the results you've generated, because in the main work, there is a results section where every work, every result you have should be showcased. And so you have liberty of space to write as many results, to present as many results as possible. And after the whole thing, you should be able to give a summary, a conclusion, your finding. What exactly have you been able to find out in the course of the research? So this is about the abstract. But we shall not leave the abstract until we do one or two things on that. We have to take note that there are two types of abstracts. Depending on the journal's guideline, we have structured and non-structured. In structured, as you can see on the first figure here, there is a continuous writing, that there is no definite separation of background from method, from result, from conclusion. There is a flow. Everything is flowing. And of course, abstract is one paragraph write-up. There is no paragraphing. So in non, in non-structured, rather, that's what I'm showing you. There is a flow. But in structured, you must show the background and write on the background. Show the method, you write on the method. Show the result, you write on the result. Show the conclusion and you write on the conclusion. So it depends on what you are required to do by the journal article. And then you should be able to do that. Let me also quickly point out that in abstract, you don't need to do referencing, because you are not summarizing somebody's work. You are summarizing your work, your findings. So it is really absolutely uncalled for to begin to quote and reference materials previously, maybe a similar work that has been done. So referencing is not allowed in abstract, because this is your work, you are summarizing the work. Again, it's important to note that you may be required, and in most cases it is required, that you put down keywords. Keywords are usually for indexing. That is when and then to make your work more visible. So if somebody is searching for something and type a keyword in your journal article, it could directly link the person to that your journal article. Sometimes the journal may want you to give between 3 to 5 keywords. And so you select the keywords depending on the topic. For instance, this particular abstract and the keywords, the topic was talking about analgesic, anti-inflammation, and so on and so forth. So those keywords in the title should reflect. Or sometimes the keywords in the abstract should reflect. Then the background. The background must be captivating and captures the recent development in that field. I am once again trying to dwell so much on abstract. You know the reason? Most journals that have been published, especially those that are not open access, they will simply um, show the abstract of different articles. So the readers, after reading the abstract, will decide whether to go for the full article or not, whether to subscribe for the article or not. That is why I want to dwell a little bit more on abstract so that you'll be able to understand some nitty-gritties involved in that abstract. Remember, one of the key components of abstract is the background, which is the first thing, and it must be very captivating. It should be able to capture the recent development in that field. Depending on what you're writing, the development will be in terms of the disease burdens, maybe health, mortality, morbidity, quality of life, etc. It could be on economic importance of that particular disease or trying to give justification to why the study is crucial at that at the time you are doing the work. So these are some of the things that could inform your choice of words in the background. If somebody is looking at maybe writing something on something that is novel, trying to profess solution, you will quickly make a quick justification about the current research that you're doing that will be very helpful to humanity. Then again, the background should be able to link the research question to the current study. We may not have so much time to do that because this would have come up, if there is an opportunity to talk about methodologies or research methodology. But now we're talking about manuscript. So I'm assuming that we know what is research question, and whatever you're doing should be able to link up. The research question that you set out to answer must link up to the current study. Then concisely state the objective or aim of the study within the background. You must well delve into the methodology without necessarily stating any background. Sometimes this could be allowed, but ideally, you should be able to whet the appetite of the readers by, giving a very captivating background or introduction to your study. Okay. Also, I don't know how much time we have so that I know how I'm running.
Okay, the plan was to run for 2 hours, but if and more so because of your own schedule. But feel free, please. I'm available today, this evening, for as long as it will take you to complete it.
Okay. Anyway, I'll get to the reasonable point. We'll probably open up for 1 or 2 questions because of other
Okay.
engagements.
Okay.
Okay. This is a typical example of an abstract. I don't know whether how can you categorize this abstract? Is it structured or non-structured abstract? Can any of the participants answer the question?
This is a non-structured, sir.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Non-structured. Everything flows. You can't see background, even though background was discussed. You can't see a method, even though method was part of it. You can't see results, and the results are all over the place. And you can't see conclusion, but the conclusion was given. And so it's a continuous flow. And then you can only, if you look at this critically, you cannot see a paragraph. It's a continuous writing. And then coming to this, this is another abstract, but this time around, it is a structured abstract. Um, I don't know whether we have time to do this activity, but let me try whether we can use maybe 2 to 5 minutes to do this. I'd like you to choose any of this research topic, A, B, C, and I would like you to write the background part of the abstract for this. The background has nothing to do with the 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 findings you've made already. The background talks more of, if I should if I should use the word, a kind of literature review of the abstract. I mean, trying to look at what has happened or what is currently going on. So I'm saying that in order to say that you can write the the background of the abstract. So if you choose any of this, I like one person or two to make a statement that looks like the background of this abstract and tell us, citing also specific objective of the study. Number one is knowledge, attitudes, practice towards COVID-19, an epidemiological survey in the north central Nigeria. Another one is attitudes of healthcare workers towards COVID-19 vaccination, a survey in France and French-speaking parts of Belgium and Canada, 2020. And the next one is drug discovery of small molecules for the treatment of COVID-19. So be thinking about this and put something down. Even though I have used science-related and health-related topics, the principle still remains the same. Whether you are writing on science-based research, whether you're writing on social science or pure science or law, anything at all, engineering, they follow the same principle. Okay, so um, can somebody come up with something to tell us what the background could look like? I just wanted to be sure that we know exactly what I've said about background. Anyone with any answer? And no answer is wrong. Every answer is applying and correct until.
You can unmute yourself if you have an answer or drop
Yeah.
it in the chat box if you have typed it out.
Okay, that's fine. Because it's going to be interactive. That's so one of the ways as you think about what to write, as you're putting it down, just listen to this. The only way to learn how to write is to write. That's the only way. So it's not let me read about writing. You can read as much as possible. You can read for 10 years on writing. But if you have not spent single time writing, you can never write. So don't think that you must be an expert before you start writing. You write, you go over it, you correct yourself, you write again, go over it, you correct yourself, and so on and so forth. Okay, so is there anything on the chat box?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. even if these topics do not um, do not attract you so much, or you don't like it, you can come up with a topic of your own choice and then put down the background of the abstract. Any of this can go. Okay. If nobody's coming up with something, I'll go to the next thing.
Any responses? Okay, I think maybe we can come back to this towards the end of the question, the discussion. Okay, someone is raising a hand. Victor Mweze, please go ahead.
Okay, so good evening or good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So I think thank you so much, Dr. Okavo, for the presentation. So I think maybe some other people might just be trying to scribble something down because I think this is something more impromptu in a way. So, but I think I'm more related to the last topic you made on the drug discovery of small molecules against SARS-CoV-2. So of course, there's no time for that, but just trying to say something. So I just would say, as a background for an abstract in a way, we'll say since December 2019, SARS-CoV-2 has led to COVID-19 pandemic, which has yielded millions of deaths reported cases. The increasing death toll is following the lack of an effective drug or small molecules, despite the emergency use of remdesivir. Therefore, there is a need to design or discover new and effective antiviral therapy against the treatment of COVID-19 disease.
Excellent. Beautiful. In fact, by the time somebody reads the first sentence, the person's mind is blown. So, wow, I mean, are you serious? Something like that. So you
I'm
induce.
almost asking where's the journal? Let me download it.
Okay, you see. so you induce an appetite for your readers to now read more and even read front and back of everything that you've written. So it is an appetizer. It is in education they call it set induction, where you introduce the concept and you carry everybody along. And also there's a way you introduce the concept, you kill morale for people to read. So these are the things that. So thank you so much, Victor, for that contribution, and thank you also for joining to um, make learning very meaningful to people. Victor has been one of those people who have been helping humanity to learn. Thank you for joining. Then after, don't think you've escaped it, all the participants, you have not. So after the webinar, send a feedback on this particular topic, assignment, to the organizer. He will send to me, I'll read. Even if we may not have a platform to interact, but try to see whether you'll be able to do something. Don't be afraid of writing. To summarize a little bit, or to give you a hint as a beginner, how you can start. I talked about something I call kite tail model, looking at the kite tail. You may not see this. I don't know whether it's anywhere in the literature, but this is my own. Maybe one day it will enter. Kite tail, and it's derived from my the people from my locality, the Igbo tribe of southeastern Nigeria. We believe that if you don't know something, if you don't know how to do something, take a look at what has been done before. Then in Igbo palace, we say a blacksmith that does not know how to forge a gong should look at the kite tail. You know what it means? Gong. The shape of the gong is resembling the shape of the kite tail. So when the blacksmith, who doesn't maybe doesn't know how gong looks like, he looks at kite tail. So okay, this is the shape, this is how it is. And he can gradually look and forge until he's able to forge a gong that is exactly what he wants. So by implication, when I started writing newly, what I usually do is to give myself time to browse, download, and read through abstracts of related work people have done and published. Um, of course, nothing is new under heaven, nothing. But there is nothing you will put down now that somebody has not put down, maybe in different ways. So I can't call it copying. I'm just calling it learning through or from others. So what that means is when I was starting, I could gather 5 abstracts similar to the work I am doing, or I'm trying to write the manuscript. And I'll look at the background, how this person presented their background, how the other persons presented their background. I will choose or make a blend. So the point is adapting the background, for instance, of a particular abstract of interest. Remove what you don't need that is not, relating to your own work. Add something in place of what you have removed that is relating to your work. And then change some grammar, because of course you must avoid plagiarism by all means. So if somebody has said there was a critical analysis of the treatment using vaccines, critical analysis, somebody could reframe that grammar to something else and make it concise and also grammatically sound and correct. But meanwhile, you have derived an inspiration. Okay, that's the correct word I wanted to use. Gaining inspiration from already published abstract, similar to what you're doing. Then you see how the results are presented. You adapt by adding your own results. So by the time you begin to play around with all of this, you begin to learn more and more how to do that. And gradually, you may not even need to look at anybody's abstract and you develop your own. That is the model I want you to, you can start with, especially for those who are early career, in writing, their, they have not written maybe first or second or third. You can start from there and then begin to do something. So that is the model I want to share with you. Meanwhile, permit me to go back to the first slide. Like I've mentioned before, I've mentioned this, so let me leave that. Let me leave this. I've also mentioned that. I've also mentioned that you must avoid the classical in this paper starting. There are certain kind of things that we get the whole thing boring. So you avoid all of those kind of statements that get your abstract boring. Avoid by bibliographical references. I've mentioned that. Avoid acronyms as much as possible. Even if there should be an acronym, then there must be the first place you've defined it, so that if it is appearing again, you're free to use acronym. For instance, HIV. You can define what HIV, write it in full, and put HIV. If need be for you to mention HIV again, then you are now free to use the abbreviation in the course of developing the apps. abstract. You can use past tense or present tense to present your abstract, but also get these tips, that will enable you to write a good abstract. Write up the abstract after you finish writing your paper. I've stressed that. Choose main points from your introduction and conclusion. Pick out key points from the method section. I've also said that. This is the summary. Pick out the major findings from your results section. I've also said that. It's not everything that you just present. Add a sentence or two as a conclusion. You must summarize the finding, your research. Now write a paragraph of all the points chosen, beginning from step 1 to 5, like we've seen. Then, while trying to write, you simply must allow flow. Link your sentences so that the information flows clearly. Check to make sure that the points you presented in your paper and abstract are consistent. You cannot be saying something in the main paper and you'll be saying something different something different in the abstract. They should be able to have consistency. And again, as beginners, after writing the abstract, and as a matter of fact, after writing the manuscript, give to your colleagues or senior person to review, to read, and then make some corrections. After which you can check again to see that it meets with the journal format. I've also mentioned the keywords. Okay, we are done with abstract, and we are now going into the fourth section of the manuscript writing, which is introduction. Maybe let me finish up with introduction, and then I'll allow some kind of feedback so that let me be sure that we're following, or where we're not following, we can easily ask questions and then get ourselves corrected. Introduction should be maximum of 3 to 4 paragraphs. So the introduction to your manuscript or to your article should not be another kind of literature review or review article that you want to publish separately. No. It must be summarized. It must be loaded with points. You don't just write frivolities so that people will know that your article has 20 pages, 30 pages after publication. Those things are not necessary. So, about 100 to 200 words to introduce your topic. Very important. That topic must be introduced. Somehow, it appears that there is a kind of correlation between the background of the abstract and the introduction of your topic in the introduction section of the manuscript. In some cases, if you carefully observe some manuscript, you discover that some of the things they wrote in the abstract background is somewhat or are somewhat repeated, maybe either verbatim or in another format. So, but in this introduction, take time to introduce your topic. Then there should be 500 to 1,000 words of literature review. Generally speaking, introduction is a literature review of your work, giving insight to what has been done, leveraging on what other people have done in that same field. You are not the first person actually to do it. So science builds on previous knowledge. And it's very important that, you know, you build on previous knowledge. And reviewers will be happy that you are not building castle in the air, or you are not in another scientific world all alone doing your things. So that is why there is need to do a review of what has happened in that field, what other scientists have labored to do, and you build on that to now introduce your own, giving maybe. So it is a literature review. However, it is a literature review that is highly organized, properly summarized, and carefully written down. And it flows from paragraph 1, there's a link to paragraph 2, and paragraph 2 has a link to paragraph 3, and so on and so forth. And once you are writing introduction, this is where we expect you to make reference to what others have done by way of reference citing, cite reference. And again, it is important to know the style of referencing that the journal would like you to have. It's also important to note that no matter what you write in the introduction, usually, but go and check, every carefully written scientific manuscript has the last paragraph to contain the aim of the study or the general objective. That is where that general objective comes alive again, maybe a little more detailed compared to what you have in abstract, or maybe just similar to what you have in the abstract. So use the last paragraph of the introduction to key in the aim of the study. But anytime I'm reading any journal article, I simply want to know what is the aim of this study. And then if it is clearly stated, it helps the readers to make a decision as to whether they may need to dwell on that article or go elsewhere to look for something they're looking for. Let's take a little time to look at components of introduction. A good introduction has a historical background, or what you can call statistics. The person that gave us, that submitted his own assignment in the course of this training, dealt so much. I mean, patterned his presentation in that historical format. It is important to lay some form of historical background of the study, what has happened, how it has happened, especially if there are statistics to back up any of those findings in the past. Please, it is a highly welcome development. And once you are doing a manuscript, you are writing a manuscript, ensure that you are current. You cannot be saying something about COVID-19 of 2020 when we are in 2024. Because what you're saying in 2020 might have been overtaken by other discoveries in 2023, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So the statistics must be very current. The history must be very current. And everything that you are presenting must be verifiable. There should be a reference. If you say malaria has killed 1.5 million Africans in 2023, there should be a link that somebody will need to go and verify your claim. And meanwhile, that information you just deliver is not from your brain. It's also not from your work. You are making reference to what has happened. So there should be an insight referencing, which you give full details on in the reference section. Again, the introduction. You see, why we're doing this is to buttress the point that introduction is not a casual write-up. It is not an empty write-up. It is not frivolities or chunks from literature. Say they say we should review literature and write. And then you bring up all manner of things. No, these are the things that if they are found in your introduction, it gives the readers joy. It gives the reviewers great joy. I've reviewed papers for journals, and people have also reviewed my own papers. Sometimes one of the comments will be that the introduction should be rewritten because they cannot find any substance. One of the substances that we need to find in the introduction is the importance of the study. Why is the study important? I mean, why is your own important? What makes it unique? So it is in the introduction that you bring out the uniqueness of your paper, your work. It is in the introduction you state clearly and unambiguously the importance of the study, because any study that has no importance or relevance should not disturb the entire scientific community, because we have so many other important things to read. So once you are reading an introduction and it seems that you cannot lay hold on anything that talks about the importance of the work or the study, it brings or places a question mark. Again, the introduction must have specifically and clearly written knowledge gap. Why are you doing this thing you're doing? What exactly, you know, what is the vacuum that you want to fill with your work? Authors A, B, C, D of 2021 did similar thing, but while you were reading, you discover that there was something very important they did not address. And that is why you are now doing this manuscript. You have done this study and you're putting for this manuscript in order to address a knowledge gap that you observe. Again, research questions must be answered. Why this, why do you think this is a problem? Maybe the research questions you've posed, you want to answer, or the knowledge gaps you have observed, why do you think is a problem? And it is only when you convince people that it is a problem that they will listen to your solution, because the whole essence of manuscript writing is to address research questions and close up knowledge gaps identified in previous studies. And so the introduction must be able to address all of that. I've mentioned this, it clearly states the importance of the paper to the development of the field. What are your contributions to the development of the field? What is this your own work contributing? What is new in your work? You must state it clearly. Sometimes, because it is a platform. Manuscript writing for me is a platform given to you to sell your idea, to market your work, to ask entire scientific community to gather and read your work and cite it, make reference to your work as they keep using it to do other things. So in order to do that, you must clearly state what is new. Sometimes I will read and will see somebody saying, this is the first time the discovery of this compound is reported. The first time this and this are being reported. So that makes it novel. Everybody looks out for novelty in what you're doing. It should not be rhetorics. It should not be like repeating what has happened. So be careful to note what your research, the new things your research is bringing to the table. If there are current limitations in your work, please, you can state it. Indirectly state why you think your paper deserves to be published. Okay? So like I said, you've been given the mandate to sell yourself. And it will be very, it is unacceptable that you're given a platform to market yourself and you cannot market yourself. And it's in the introduction, you also start the marketing part from the title, really, start the marketing. Why do you think this journal should publish your work? Why do you think others will need to read your work? This thing must be stated clearly. So, let me see how far I can. I'm still in under introduction. Then ask questions: what, why, and other things. And these things will prompt inspirations and answers to help you develop the manuscript. Problem statement: briefly state the problem statement and the main purpose. Describe the problem you address in the paper. As in the abstract, use the first sentence for that purpose. Only then give background information. I've said more of those things. Why? Motivation and scope. What is the motivation? What is the scope? Why do you address that problem? What is its relevance to the field? What applications does this research problem have? Applications, remember, is also another beautiful thing that you need to do to market yourself. What is the scientific, social, economic, cultural, etc. impact of addressing this problem? Please, if you cannot clearly show in the introduction the scientific impact or social impact or economic impact or cultural impact or any form of impact, or any form of challenge that you're addressing, then it makes no meaning so much. Meaningful and critical literature review is needed. And in that critical review of the literature, you should be able to address how the problem is currently being addressed. Most relevant works should be used. What limitation do you see in the current approaches? And so on and so forth. So, Austin, let me pause at this point to get some feedback and probably questions. I wouldn't know whether time will still permit us to go further, but let me pause at this point and then allow participants ask questions. Over to you, Austin.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It's been a very wonderful section. Then I think, yeah, we can take some questions. Usually the way we do it is that if you have a question, you raise your hand on the platform, and then you can ask your question when you are called upon. At the moment, we have Jaffa. Jaffa is raising his hand. But to all the other participants, if you have any question, just raise your hand and then we'll come to you after Jaffa. Jaffa, please go ahead because of time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okafor. This is indeed
Thank
an
you.
insightful session with you. Your explanations are so straightforward and so heavy with knowledge, each with clear explanation. My question is, in drafting the manuscript, using either the IDC or the IMRAD format, what are the sections or the sections that might lead to the journals rejecting or asking one to repeatedly review his work. I'm saying that the way you are emphasizing so much on the abstract and introduction is one of the key portion or section of the manuscript. So I'll want to know from you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. What is what doing is what doing well. From the cover page to the last page of the manuscript, they're all very, very important. Let me even tell you, a reviewer that you don't know his disposition. His disposition may be mainly on introduction. Say, what is the knowledge gap this guy is addressing or these authors are addressing? And once he cannot find it, he is already displeased. So no section should be taken for granted. That's a general rule. However, more specifically, anyway, some of you who know me will know that whenever I'm doing something, I want to give it the best. So if I'm talking about title, for instance, or even authors and the affiliation, I will give it serious attention, as if that is where, if you don't write the name of the author, your paper will be rejected. So that's me, really, But to be fair to our discussion, I usually like taking things one at a time. It's better for me. We can schedule to finish up so that when we get to method, result, and discussion, you will even see that there is more energy I will put there. And you think that is the climax of the whole thing. However, I want to also observe, this is to be fair to every section. Having said that, every section is very important. The method or the methodology of the research must be very clear and well understood, and has ability to be, the experiment has ability to be reproduced. So it is unambiguous. You can't say that you manufacture COVID-19 vaccine and you end there. They want to see how, so that a scientist in India, Gambia, UK, US can use that same method and replicate what you have done. That is the essence of science. Science is universal. So what happens here should be happening there, especially other things being equal. So method is very critical. If you don't present your method in such a way that it is seen to be reproducible, it seems to, straight to the point, no ambiguity, you're not hiding anything, Otherwise, you should not, anything you want to hide in terms of method, you shouldn't have even published it. You should go for patenting. Once you patent it, then you have ownership for, as much as you want to have the ownership, maybe 12 years or more, you have the ownership. But once you want to share your knowledge with the scientific world, then it means you must remove ambiguity. So most journals, most authors may be asked to revise based on the ambiguity or the ambiguous nature of the method that even the reviewers, are finding difficult to understand. Then again is the result. There is, when you are designing the work, there's a kind of result you present. It will be laughable. It will not contribute meaningfully to the body of knowledge. Okay, for instance, let me now use method. For instance, you are to use rats for your experiment, and there are 5 groups. So you have 1 rat each in each of the groups, and then you have gotten the data from this rat after sacrificing it. you are presenting your results. One major area why, that could lead to complete rejection of the work is faulty design, research design. Once the research design is faulty, everything seems to be faulty, and that will lead to maybe rejection or major revision or even sending you back to the lab. So experimental design is very key. If it is not robust, if it is not well designed, then expect rejection, because the result will simply not be something that will impact the scientific world. Then again, so basically, if I should just tell you, methods and result presentation are very two key areas where most of the reviewers would like to, show their expertise and give their best in trying to review your work. Partly to discussion, if there is no much discussion based on the result you have, they could ask you that the discussion is shallow, then you need to correlate your findings with previously published work and make it look wonderful. So methodology, which has to do more with experimental design, and the result. And again, the result has also to include result analysis, data analysis. You could have a wonderful result, but your analysis is poor. And then that could also lead to asking you for major revision or outright rejection. But on the general, what could lead to automatic dismissal or rejection of the work is if it is not within the scope of the journal. If it is not within the scope, that your work has nothing to do with the journal's aims and objective, then no matter how beautiful it is, it will be automatically rejected. And some journals that may have mercy on you will be very kind to direct you to the right journal where you may need to submit. And again, a rejection or a resubmission can be given to you. Probably you didn't follow the journal's guideline, like I mentioned earlier. So they can refer you, say, and ask you to go back and do the right thing. So these are the areas that you may have critical issues with reviewers. Thank you. Victor,
Thank
are
you
you
very much.
online? Let Victor add one or two things to that, because he's been very current when it comes to research and publication. Victor, please.
Okay, Victor, please go ahead.
Well, okay, I think I was a little lost in the because I'm dealing with multiple things.
Okay.
So, but I think maybe I don't want to waste much time. But if there's time, I could get the question rightly, then respond. But
Okay, maybe subsequent questions. Don't worry.
yes,
Subsequent
thank
questions.
you, Doctor.
Yes, I actually dealt, to the best of my knowledge, why, sessions that are to be critically looked into that could lead to rejection or asking you for major revisions. Okay, Austin, over to you.
So let's see who else has got a question. I can't see any hand up at the moment, but if you have a question, let me know. Let me see your hand raised, and then I can call on you to ask your question. Okay, so Amuche has got her hand raised. Please go ahead. Unmute yourself and go ahead.
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
really appreciate them for how he dealt with everything concerning manuscript. But the place I'm having challenge is, he said after writing, you can give it to an expert to go through it. But this time around, even when you are calling on someone's attention to help you go through something, most of them do demand for fee. So is it every publication, every manuscript you want to publish, and you feel like giving it out to somebody to look through it, and there's a demand for fee, and you will still pay for the publication. So how will you be able to handle it when paying for, and do I say, uh, when paying for someone to go through your script or something of that nature? Please, I want you to help out. Is there anybody that can be helping us, maybe in the group, as someone that wants to help an upcoming publisher? If there's anything you can do, please, I'll be interested in it, because the way the prices of things are going now, I don't know if I can be able to. Thank
Okay, Amarachi. Amuche rather.
you.
Amucheze. Amucheze. Okay, okay. Um, Thank you for that question. It is just, it was a suggestion or one of the ideal things that can be done to allow second person to have a look and make few corrections. Now, I want to tell you that research is not about one man's business. Except you want to do a research on your own, just one person. But I don't want to assume that is the case here. Probably the case here is that there are 2, 3, 4 persons in that group doing the research. So the idea thing is, one person, sometimes they can group it and say, you write introduction, you write the abstract, you write the method, you write the result. All of you there should be able to go through the manuscript. So this is internal assessment. You can be even fine, you can be fine with internal assessment alone, reasonably. So once these co-authors, because there's a provision in some journals that will want to know whether all the authors have gone through the manuscript. So all the authors should be able to go through the manuscript. And if it is done very effectively, somebody may see what another person didn't see and make corrections and so on and so forth. That's first stage. Second stage is that you should by now have academic mentors. And these academic mentors are not developed or gotten overnight. It is a very deliberate effort and attempt you start putting on ground while in school, making and maintaining contact with the person, doing few things, and learning, such that when there is need for you to ask that mentor to help you look at what you've done, the person will be able to do that. And I'm sure no mentor will charge you. I'm very sure of that. Then these are the 2 areas or that you need to check on while trying to, because the reason is that it minimizes back and forth when you send the manuscript. There is a way your manuscript, the form your manuscript will be when you send it out. It will attract automatic rejection. And you know that rejection is not really a good phenomenon. It has a way to depress one, even though for the tough people, they get over it and keep going. But as much as you can avoid rejections or depressions or things that will pull you down, please do. So that when the reviewers or the editors have looked at it, they will simply, of course, they will find something. By this time around, what they are finding is something that you can easily handle or, go around it and get it done. I also want to say that is why Austin is here. That is why some of us are available. You don't need to pay more or pay so much for publication. We could help you get journals that you can publish free of charge. And it depends on the nature of somebody's place. Can somebody mute himself? It's like somebody's talking. Amuche, mute yourself. Okay, thank you. So we can help you get a journal that you may not pay any money. And then again, once you're done with a manuscript, through Austin or through any of us, just send it freely and gladly. I will go through to make my corrections. I review for journals. In fact, I'm having excess journal articles to review. Sometimes I don't meet up with the deadline. I have so many of them. So, but it is one of the duties and statutory roles of academics to do such work. So feel free, send it to me, send it to higher persons. I will not charge you. Even if I'm so busy, I know who to contact that will do the needful. So don't pay for anything, especially proofreading. However, when you get money, because all of this is because of economic situation, do you know that there are people who specialize whose specialty is formatting and grammatical corrections. Some editors, some reviewers have rejected some papers because of a lot of grammatical errors. And once there are grammatical errors, it slows down the pace of reading and comprehending the, what is going on. So there are professionals there. So I can't really say it should not be paid for. But when you have such money, you can pay for such services. Such services are legal, and somebody who has money can really do something. But for now, I've told you that freely we can help review your work. Make sure also that you work as a team. Other team members can review what you've done. But let me sound a warning. Be careful who you entrust your work, because you may be surprised as you think somebody is reviewing the work. By next week or 2 weeks, you see that that work has been published. So you need
Journal
to,
of Life Sciences.
yes. And the person can simply modify things that, but the idea is actually yours. The whole thing is yours. I don't want to call the countries that are liable to this kind of offense. People are terrible. So be sure that you protect the work by giving it to people will not sell you out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, I've been smiling when I heard you saying I should get my journals, my manuscript to you whenever it's ready. Thank you
Yes,
very much, sir, for that
you're welcome.
opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Victor is raising his hand. Victor, please unmute and go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chukwemeka, and thank you so much, Dr. Kafo. I just want to maybe just a little addition to the comment for that the case of the proofreading of manuscripts. I think Dr. Uncle Beloved really presented it very well, to be honest. I know this is a major issue, especially for early career researchers when writing manuscripts, because you write. I remember the first time I wrote my own paper, and the first paper I ever wrote and published, and it was difficult to get even the top guy on the paper to review it, because of he really had tight schedule. He didn't even have time, and I think in that pain I had to learn in the process. I had to learn in the pain, more like you turned your pain to gain. So I had to learn in it to review by myself and do the work of the review of myself, and it was not easy. But I think one way I think helped me, that I'm trying to suggest out of this personal experience, is the more you read, the more you get, better on how to write, and to reduce some errors, or and trying to review and review all over again. So if you don't read papers, especially in some of these top journals, if you don't read what you won't, it will be difficult to know how to really present some of your cases in proper written form. So it gives you insight on how to write properly, how to present your case, how to structure your writing. So I think that's really helpful. Another one is the use of some of these software articles, but I will place a but to it, because, okay, let me start with the but. Just be careful when you use some of these software articles, because of the issue of AI now. So you don't try to play smart at all, because there are even now anti-AI detectors, in a way that counters, or no matter how you think, it will not find it will catch you, because I think there are some of these software tools that are specific to institutions or industries. are not publicly available to individuals, for the purpose of this issue of monitoring of AI. So, but you can, the purpose, the why I brought up this up too is because of things like Grammarly, Quillbot, just for the purpose of grammatical structure. They are not necessarily structured to, would like to say, present your opinions, right? It's your personal opinion, maybe your discussion, just to help you ensure that they are significantly reduced grammatical errors, right? So please, I think those Grammarly, you get some of, you can just register on Grammarly and get it installed on your Microsoft Word for free, right? You don't have to even use the premium if you don't have the money to subscribe. So I think you can use Grammarly and just proofread some of the stuff, but just be careful when adopting some of the corrections by Grammarly, because for me, of course, Grammarly may suggest something, but sometimes they are helping you to write it in such a way that is as if it's normal essay writing, right? But this is an academic form of writing, not or scientific writing, not normal child or primary or secondary school essay or something like a content creation. They just want to be careful. And just to reiterate finally on the comment, the suggestion by Uncle Beloved, that is the case of having an academic mentor. I think this is very important, to be honest, because I think in recent times I've realized a lot of young people want to have publications, and they just want to do it on their own, because I don't know the the prestige someone is looking for as first author at this. This should be process over results. That's where I'm going to put it. Like this takes time for you to, you have to submit yourself to process. So I think it's important to have someone that you feel that, of course, will not take advantage of you, but will be diligent and honest to raise you, So, and of course, you being committed to helping the person eventually turns back at you to helping yourself too. So if you want to become a first author on your own paper, eventually you've even learned from writing with the person or even assisting the person. I think one of the things that helped me was assisting other people to write and publish with them. From there, I now knew how to even write for my own self. So I think it's important to really work with these people. And even when some papers may not even relate to them, I've seen, and this is where I also brought up this mentorship issue. I've seen cases that the person that helped you to review may not even be among the co-authors, right? But I think it's very important, very, very important, at least to give the person some level of respect and appreciate the person, to always acknowledge such individual or group of persons in the acknowledgement section of that manuscript. Like, I think it's very, very important just to, just more like, you want to just, after somebody has done something for you, you want to go and thank the person with a bottle of wine. Thank you, that thing you did for me worked and everything. So I think it's really important, because it's depressing to have your papers being rejected. Like, it can be really depressing, especially if you're not used to it. So I think having such people that you've submitted to, that you've learned under in a way, of course, from there helps you to improve, but at the same time gives you such open door to give them your paper to help you review. And of course, one of the ways I also think can engage them better, those your mentors, might also having them to be part of the co-authors. Like, it doesn't hurt. They don't have to be the first author, but at least it could be nice, because it gives them that scepter of engagement or commitment rather to that paper. It's more like, okay, they're actually part of this work, so they have to review it. So not every responsibility or duty or role of a co-author has to be methodology, experimental design. Some persons, you've seen it in papers, the person is just supervising the paper, so supervising the work entirely, so on conceptualization of the topic. So I think it's important to reach out to them and even suggest if they will be happy to be co-authors of the work, more like to give them that commitment, and they'll pick up the role of proofreading and supervising, co-supervising the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. And I will just add something to it. I think we are dwelling very much on this particular question, and for a very good reason. You see, when you stay in a country like any of the countries in Africa, and you intend to make some kind of breakthroughs, then you need to think a little bit unconventionally from what the general public thinks. So everybody within the general public would think that, well, if I volunteer under a lecturer, for instance, for like 6 months, then it's a waste of my time because I'm not getting any monetary value for it. But if you are intending to be able to write publications on your own, and you find yourself struggling with all this editing, structuring, data analysis, and all that, you can choose to reach out to any lecturer close to your field of study. You know, in any of the universities or higher institutions around your neighborhood, and say, well, this is who I am. More like, do it as though you're applying for a job. If you have a chemistry background, you can meet Dr. Okafo and say, this is who I am. I have this background. I can do this for you. I can do this for you, but I want to be under your mentorship for this particular period. And he can vet you. He's not giving you a formal employment, but he's giving you access to certain aspect of what, you know, giving you some of his responsibilities, which could also include, for instance, marking undergraduate work, for instance, or coming to help him supervise tests or coming to help him supervise exams. That's depending on what the general regulations within his school permits. But he can find something that you will be doing for him, or you find something you feel that lecturers in your environment need, that makes it even easier. And then meet the person and say, this is what I know that you need. You can meet a lecturer and say, I know that you need to be creating content. You can package this, your content, and put it online. I'm willing to be your video person, or I'm willing to be just somebody who advertises what you are doing to anybody. But the person now kind of adopts you under a fixed mentorship for at least a certain period. Your goal is to learn how to publish within that period. That's if you don't have a long-term academic mentor, for instance. You can go that pathway and then be able to give something in exchange for something. Everybody is busy. And then, of course, for the journal publications and the cost of publishing, it can be very expensive, but there are options for free journals. The first 3 papers I published probably were in free journals. And how did I come across it? I was not willing to pay. Not that I wasn't even willing to pay, but I didn't have all the money to pay at that time. So I had to go digging deep and trying to find out where is this paper that can help me publish. And the papers are indexed, you know, getting references in their own way. Though these were like papers I did in my early days. But in your field, you'll still be able to find a paper that is going to publish free of charge for you. It may not be as fast as the paid ones, but again, there's always a trade-off. If the trade-off is more time, and then that gives you access to getting what you want without paying, then that's fine if you don't have the money. But always try the best you can to ensure that your paper is reviewed by somebody. Because I've written things in English language, for instance, and I could not identify my own mistakes by myself, even with all my experience in writing. There are times when you still write something, a sentence, and you know, it's when you now read it a second time or a third time, or somebody says, why did you make this mistake? And you go like, oh, because your brain is reading what you are thinking in many cases. I can read a sentence that I wrote and I'm just reading my mind and not necessarily what I've written in that document. So it's always very essential. Start from your teammates, and where possible and as much as possible, try to give your work to somebody who is senior to you. It will always help you. I don't know if there are any other questions. Do we have any other questions from the group? All right. So while we are thinking about the next question, or while you are thinking about your next question, I know that you can minimize Google Meets, right? And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because I want you to do something now. There are at least 20 of us right now on this call, and I don't know how many of us know Dr. Okafo prior to this day. If you don't know him before, I want you to open this chat box now. I'm pasting a link on the chat box, and that link will take you directly to his LinkedIn profile. And I want to encourage you to just go right now and follow him there. Somebody is already saying he has done that. That's Jaffa. Thank you so much. All the other people on the call, I want you to just navigate through that link go to his LinkedIn profile and click follow. If you can't find follow, click connect, any of the two. Now, there is also a major announcement that I'm going to take permission from Dr. Kafo to break it a little bit. So there is something big that Dr. Kafo is planning. And this is going to be, like I mentioned to us, he's somebody who has passion for young people. You would notice how Victor was referring to him as Uncle Beloved, because that's what we call him. And there's a reason why we call him that name. So he's having, just at this point, finalizing plans for a YouTube channel where he's going to be unveiling a whole lot about, personal development, career advancement, writing, and every other thing that he does. He'll be unveiling a whole lot of those things on his YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to send across a link to that YouTube channel after this event, not today, of course, but once the channel is completely set up, I'm going to send an email across to every one of you. There are, I think, more than 600 of us on the email list who have either benefited from Beyond Campus or benefited from this academic writing series. So one way or the other, Dr. Okafor has impacted your life. And so I'm going to send that email to every one of us. And when you see that email, the only way you say thank you is to say thank you. So you just click on the email and follow, subscribe on his channel. There are a lot of reasons why we need to support good things. And I believe you know that, having followed the Academy of Scholarships and Transitions all this while. Again, Dr. Okafor also runs the Young Researchers Forum of Nigeria within University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He leads that group. And there are a lot of things that go on in that group that he will also be bringing, that will be transferring to people through his online platforms. He runs trainings. There's something that's called computer-aided drug design. He conducts that training from time to time. This is now purely for those of you who come from pharmaceutical sciences background. And for the sake of all that he has done today, the best way the first appreciation you should give to him is go to his LinkedIn profile and follow him there. And of course, once that YouTube channel is available, we want it to hit 1,000 subscribers within 1 week, and you can make it happen. The way you do it is you subscribe, you invite one friend to subscribe. If 500 of us does it, then we'll hit 1,000 even in the very first day of announcing the channel. And I want to sincerely appreciate you, Uncle, because of your time that you've given to us today. And I sincerely apologize to everyone for the the mix-up in timing for this event today. However, remember that this event is recorded, is also live on YouTube, and you'll be able to find it and you'll be able to share it with every other person. Academic writing is not something you learn and sit and do nothing about. What I expect every one of you to do is to go back today and start writing. Think about a topic and start writing so that you don't lose the skills. If you have a skill and you're not using it, the skill becomes blunt. And once it becomes blunt, it will take you time to resharpen it before it can become useful to you. So go back today, pick a topic within your field and start writing. Even if it's just a literature review, start doing something. If you are somewhere in Lagos or somewhere in the Gambia or somewhere in Rwanda or somewhere, even in Europe, anywhere you are, you can identify your teammates from this particular call. And after this event, I'm going to write a post on Facebook that will let people identify their areas of interest. You can pair yourselves from there and start collaborating. You might be in a country where power supply is a problem, but there could be somebody else on this call who stays in a country where power is not a problem. That person could be the one doing the experimental work while you are developing the methodology somewhere in your own country. That's collaboration. The person could be the one running the experiments and you are the one doing the analysis because you've got data analytics skills. So these are the areas you can start collaborating. And I'm looking forward to people reaching out to say, yes, I have now written my manuscript. Can you help me look through it? That will be the climax of this particular training. That will be the joy in the training. If you can't do that, then you would have successfully wasted some hours that could have been put into productive use. But I'm trusting you and I'm counting on you that based on all the trainings that we've had, you will sit up and do something. I don't want to go into a motivational speech of why publications are important. You've heard that over and over and over, but just go get started on something, and we are expecting results from you. That's the only way we know that we've made impact. The only way Dr. Kafo will know that he has made impact in your life is when you now come back with a manuscript. And I believe we all remember the assignment that he gave us. Go back to that assignment, draft something, send them to me, and I will share them with him to see how much you have learned and how much you've been able to develop. Yeah, so thank you, Jaffa, and thank you, Kayode. These are the only two people who have mentioned that they've done what we are saying. So please, every other person on the call, go ahead and just follow him. All right, so I don't know if there's any other question before we let our trainer go for today. Any question, please, one last question and we are done. Okay, when you am I saying done, Donatil is saying done. Donatil, special good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Interesting. All right, many people wouldn't know, but
Austin, just before, just a minute.
All right.
You know, we were not able to finish up, but through the contacts you've shared, I'll be very much pleased and readily available to take questions or even have a personal chat with you on other areas of difficulties when it comes to manuscript writing. And so we can always complete the seminar, maybe one-on-one or at other fora. Just feel free to reach out to even Victor himself, who has been a very helpful person in terms of this. Austin is there and there. So feel free to reach out. You could now get more customized lecture based on your need and based on your research area. Then you'll be able to have a good manuscript, to your own credit. So we are available and we will be willing to help. Thank you.
And what do we say to our trainer today? You can unmute
Thank
yourself.
you.
I could also thank you to him.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Uncle. We appreciate it. Sincerely, very
Thank you.
grateful. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We'll be in touch. All right, so that's me calling it a day from this side. Good evening to every one of you. Good night to those who are already in the night hours. I will be bringing this to a close. Feel free to always go back to the YouTube channel, go back to Facebook, reach out directly to ask questions for further clarity. For now, it will be a very good night rest from this end. Thank you so much to everybody, and thank you especially Donatil, who has been a friend since 2010. We'll catch up later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Victor, are you on LinkedIn? I would like to. Okay, I'll find you there. Anyways.